Yeah, in terms of sparring, we got some great guys coming in. Some really experienced southpaws that are smaller. I think Montana Love is coming in. Shakur Stevenson wants to come in. Jermaine Ortiz. We're gonna hit up Erickson, Lubin, some of these guys. So we're just gonna bring in a plethora of fighters that are fast, quick, shifty southpaws.
With Canelo Alvarez, Shakur Stevenson has no relationship with Jake Paul. None. We heard, oh, Boots is a sparring partner. How much you got paid for that? So now, isn't that also applicable to Shakur Stevenson? Is he not also a sellout?
Like it's honest, but again, I want to see them fight. I want to see some aggression. Tank would have that if it was anyone he actually felt was worth it. I just don't know if he thinks Jake's worth it. Again, I get that feeling that he just is there.
Jake Paul's most recent action is to have Shakur Stevenson spar with him before he faces Gervonta Davis. Paul added weight to Stevenson's preparedness by mentioning that he himself wished to assist and join the camp. He clarified that his staff has assembled a number of seasoned, talented southpaw fighters who are smaller than him but can still give him the appropriate looks. Since there was no previous connection between Shakur and Paul, his name stood out. Paul, however, thinks that practicing with Stevenson and other sparring partners will help him get better as he gets ready for the fight against.
Yeah, in terms of sparring, we got some great guys coming in. Some really experienced southpaws that are smaller. I think Montana Love is coming in. Shakur Stevenson wants to come in. Jermaine Ortiz. We're gonna hit up Erickson, Lubin, some of these guys. So we're just gonna bring in a plethora of fighters that are fast, quick, shifty southpaws.
The abrupt link between Shakur Stevenson and Jake Paul has drawn criticism from certain observers who describe it as strange and suspicious. They contend that when Stevenson assisted Canelo Alvarez in getting ready for Terence Crawford, he appeared to have sold himself into sparring work, much like Duran Boots Ennis did. The absence of any prior relationship between Paul and Stevenson is what distinguishes this instance. Given their familial ties, Boots and Canelo had a history together, which helped to explain why that arrangement was established. Since Shakur and Paul don't have any common history or relationships, some analysts believe that money was a major factor in Shakur's case. The idea is that Paul might have provided Stevenson with substantial financial inducements to join. This sparks discussions over whether Stevenson's choice was motivated more by business than by boxing, given that it is an uncommon alliance between two boxers who have never.
Shakur Stevenson reached out to Jake Paul in support of him preparing for Gervonta Davis. Help me understand, what is the difference between Boots Ennis reaching out to Canelo Alvarez in support of his preparation for Terence Crawford versus Shakur Stevenson reaching out to Jake Paul in preparation for his fight with Gervonta Davis? Tell me, what is the difference? I'll tell you what the difference is. The Ennis family actually had a relationship with Canelo Alvarez. Shakur Stevenson has no relationship with Jake Paul. None. We heard, oh, Boots is a sparring partner. How much you got paid for that? So now, isn't that also applicable to Shakur Stevenson? Is he not also a sellout? I don't want to hear anything about this fight. It's against a YouTuber, it doesn't matter. No, Shakur Stevenson is an elite level fighter that is going to be a sparring partner to a YouTuber, and he reached out to him directly to make it happen?
When asked about the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis clash, Shakur Stevenson has attempted to explain his position. He clarified that he would approach such a battle from two angles if he were in Tank's shoes. Due of the potential for revenue and attention, it makes sense from a commercial standpoint. Stevenson said that, as a warrior, he personally would not accept such a battle. His remarks highlight the distinction between viewing boxing as pure sport and as a career choice. Shakur freely acknowledges that money influences these decisions by keeping business and fighter pride apart, despite some critics' claims that his sparring role with Jake Paul may seem dubious.
So can you blame a man for taking that opportunity? Because this is prize fighting, right? It's about making money and securing your family. Can you fault him for that?
It's two sides of that. Like,
okay.
It just depends. As a fighter, just because I had a draw with somebody, for me, I may run it back. But in a business aspect, if you run it back and you lose to Lamont, and then the Jake Paul fight is presented, you may not make as much money, or the fight may not be as lucrative as it was before you lost. So as a business, I understand. I ain't going to hate on the decision, but as a man
Your
and
pride
as
will
a
get in the way.
fighter with my integrity.
Yeah, but isn't there a price for everything, Shakur? Like, even if you had a draw with somebody and you were offered 10 times more than you ever, I don't know what the number is, but it's a lot more than he's ever made.
When Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis engaged in combat at the official press conference, tensions between the two fighters increased. They ultimately shoved one another, which caused fans and the media to react right away. Many observers, however, think that this altercation was not a real conflict but rather a component of the entertainment plan. Physical altercations at press conferences are frequently used in today's boxing industry to generate viral content and draw attention to the pay-per-view. The idea that the battle is both a spectacle and a contest is explicitly supported by Jake and Tank's drive. The build-up places a strong emphasis on the entertainment value, examining if a larger fighter can use strength to subdue a smaller, more accomplished opponent or whether a smaller man can outshine size with ability and quickness.
Southpaw orthodox matchup, left hand down the pipe. You can even see here, I'm not even trying to do the whole body language breakdown, but you could even see Tank could get under that left hand because he's 5-0. He could roll under that left hand, and here comes the brick hand over the top. If he lands something like that in 10 ounces, I'm going to tell you this. Jake's 200 and something pounds. That's still going to hurt at the very least, and who knows what, because Tank's got ridiculous power. So Jake, a little sloppy on the push there. He got pushed. He wanted to get it back. There's something to be taken away from that, but lines up perfectly for a counter left hand. And you even see his promoter here is kind of grabbing his left hand because Tank wanted to let it fly. And Jake backed up a little bit. He said, oh, and Tank comes with that. Tank, man. Tank said, where I'm from, the bullies get bullied. All right, dude, there you go. Listen, takeaways from this thing, I don't know. Tank seemed to have a little bit more energy today. He seemed to be more lively. Him going back and forth with the media, with Jay Leon, with Jake, with Aiden Ross. There seemed to be a bit more energy today. That's all I really asked for. So in terms of, selling us on something, sure. Better job today from both guys. Jake, seemed a bit more locked in here with Tank as well. They had a little bit more fun. Tank going after Nikisa was pretty funny. But listen, this doesn't change anything in my mind. The 10-ounce gloves doesn't really change anything to me. I mean, again, I think that's a bad idea for Tank, more so because even if Jake doesn't land clean, those are 10-ounce gloves, still going to hurt. Tank is still punching in gloves that are 2 ounces heavier than he normally uses, so I don't know how that's a win for him. The $2 million bet almost certainly won't happen, which I didn't think would in the first place, but Tank pretty much confirmed it. And we're all left with the same kind of idea that we thought about this to begin with. This is an entertainment exhibition that we know is going to draw a ton of eyeballs. I'm going to watch. And there's going to be great high-level competition boxing on the underneath card. And even in the main event, if something is to happen, if someone is to get knocked out, it will go mega viral. And both these guys are going to make a shit ton of money.
Boxing insiders maintain that Gervonta Davis is not taking this fight lightly, despite the entertainment-driven marketing. Tank is locked in and determined, according to analysts who have seen his preparation and body language. They emphasize that there is more at stake than most people think. Davis might gain widespread exposure and a hefty payout by defeating Jake Paul. Paul shouldn't undervalue Tank the way he could have undervalued more experienced opponents like Mike Tyson in promotional talks, according to experts. Davis is in his peak and well known for his intensity in the ring, in contrast to display boxers. Paul might suffer terrible consequences if he takes this conflict lightly. Davis's serious demeanor at the training camp is evident.